Well, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Wild Your Garden. And firstly, a massive thanks to you all for helping me reach the milestone of 25,000 subscribers. I'm absolutely overwhelmed that there's so much support and interest for you all wanting to make habitats for wildlife. No matter where you are around the world, it's so positive to see, and it really is heartwarming to know that so many of you are now doing a bit for wildlife. And hopefully, well, as has been evidenced by the amount of people that comment on the videos, on an average video, the amount of people that are including these habitats in their own garden because of the information I'm providing. So I can't tell you how much that means to me. So thank you so much. Please keep supporting the channel and subscribe, obviously, if you haven't already, and share the videos. The more people see these videos, hopefully the more habitats can be created for wildlife. Now, in this video, a bit of a windy day, but I've tried to come to the most sheltered spot of where I am. I am at a very, very special and unique site, and it is one of the last remaining remnants of traditional fen woodland here in the west of East Anglia. The East Anglia is a region to the east of the United Kingdom and known for its fenland, which is a very flat landscape, which I grew up just on the edge of, just a bit north of here in Lincolnshire. I'm actually at a place called Home Fen National Nature Reserve, which is an NNR, and it's looked after by Natural England, who I think are doing a great job of managing this space for wildlife. Now, the key features about this woodland is it is nearly solely made up of silver birch. Now, I know those aren't silver birch behind me, but we'll get to those shortly, so stay with me. But I just want to explore some of the habitats of this woodland today, and because it is a woodland that is on really ancient peat bog, obviously it provides a wealth of habitats, and I can't tell you how many different things are found in this woodland and just how special and unique this habitat and rare it unfortunately now is across the UK. So stick with me, let's go and have a look at some of the features that this wonderful place has to offer and see what we can find. Well, just look at that. That behind me is one of the largest, in fact the largest stand of alder trees I have seen in my entire life. Now, for those of you that have been following the channel for a while will have probably heard me reference alder trees. I do plant them a lot in the coppice belts that I plant, along with individual specimens in back gardens that are large enough to cope with these trees. But that's just phenomenal. I've never ever seen a stand of alder like that. Now, alders are a wonderful tree, and as you can tell by a lot of these multi-stem specimens, this was actually an old coppice. Because all of the trees in a natural environment, the trees would grow with a single stem, and that would be, that would be the shape of the tree. However, you can see these all have multi-stems, or what's known as codominant stems in the tree world. So they are sending up multiple shoots from the base, which then creates these wonderful spires up to the sky, which means obviously it was coppice previously. It doesn't look like it's been done for, well, many years, probably 30 years. But what a wonderful habitat this is. Now, alder trees are fantastic because they really like wet conditions, and obviously as this is old fenland, old peat bog fenland, it is very damp underfoot, so these trees absolutely love it here, hence why they're thriving. It's just fantastic to see an absolute woodland of alder trees, like I say. Now, alder trees are great for a lot of birds, particularly redpoll and siskin. They love eating the seeds of these trees, and I've heard a massive flock just go through, so I'm going to try and see if I can catch up with those now. Now, I hope you guys can hear that constant chattering. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of siskins moving through these older trees, going through the old seed heads. Of course, every time I try and get closer, they fly a few trees further away, but I'll try and get another shot of them now for you. They're like little green canaries. Absolutely gorgeous bird, siskin. I'll see if I can get some shots of them actually moving through the trees for you now. Now, in my quest to give you proof that siskins really do enjoy all the seeds that these older trees have to offer, and you can still hear them over the noise of the wren, along with a few goldfinches actually moving their way through the trees behind me. They're sort of heading further into the wood now. There's no track, so I'm not going to keep clambering through the brambles and the bracken, but I stumbled across this absolutely gigantic silver birch. I mean, look at the size of that. That's possibly one of the biggest specimens I've ever seen, and it is a monster. Now, what's amazed me, birch trees, they are fantastic because they're a pioneer species, and I've done a recent video on the channel, of course, of silver birch trees, so I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. But they're very sort of live fast, die young species, so they don't usually live for more than around sort of 80 years maximum. So this one is definitely that old. It is absolutely humongous. If I sort of walk up to it, you'll get an idea of the scale of it. I mean, the trunk, just enormous. But what has surprised me about this tree, normally when birch trees fall over or blow over, that's it, they sort of die. However, if you look this way down the tree, you can see all these individual trees growing off this original trunk, which I think is absolutely wonderful. You can see they're just sort of sprouting up at intervals and producing more trees. So the tree is still alive, believe it or not. Even if you saw that, if you stumbled across it, you would not think in a million years that that has survived. And birch trees are renowned for being able to be coppice, of course, when they're younger, but certainly when they're this big, if you just felled it, that'd be it. It wouldn't really send up any regrowth from the base. So absolutely fantastic to see. So yeah, let's go see what else we can find. Well, funnily enough, right next to the fallen tree we've just looked at, there is this beauty, which the trunk is going the other way on the other side of this root plate, but this is the root plate of the tree. Now, one of the habitats, obviously, of this wet peat bog is that it is just that, it's a wet peat bog. So, of course, the trees are susceptible, particularly the birch, they are susceptible to blowing over because the soil obviously isn't very thick, it's very light, peaty soil, as I'll show you now, which is, yeah, it's lovely. I mean, you couldn't get a better compost. Nature really does provide the best stuff. But I will add at this point, just please do not buy peat-based compost from your garden centre, because it is exactly this that is being excavated, not the roots obviously, but the soil from peat bogs up and down the country, particularly the further north you go, that are being extracted for peat. So please boycott peat compost and buy sort of natural organic material if you can. And of course, you know, get a pile of these in your garden, good old leaves, grass cuttings. Make a compost heap and let it rot down to provide you with all the nutrients that you would need for your herbaceous borders, your vegetables, everything like that. But yes, quite a fantastic tree root this is. So I'm yeah, chuffed to be able to see this one. But obviously, because those trees are blowing over, it creates a lot more different habitats, which we'll go and have a look at now. Well, naturally, with all this falling timber and rotting timber and all this decay, it is of course a wonderful habitat for our fungi, which is absolutely brilliant. And this site alone has over 500 recorded types of fungi, which is just incredible. I mean, I love these ones here. I'm not 100% sure what they are. They might be birch polypore, but I'll have a check when I get back. I need to freshen up on my fungus, but they are really incredible, and obviously a vital process in which they can live off the decaying wood. That's how these guys survive, obviously. So they need this rotting timber to survive and thrive. So wonderful for all our fungi for one. So not only fungi, because of the wet conditions obviously in the ground and the soil, and with it being a shady site as well, ferns are absolutely thriving. Look at this wonderful specimen here. It must be a good 4 foot tall in the centre, and there are literally thousands and thousands of them as far as the eye can see through this woodland, which in their own right obviously provide cover and habitat for so many creatures, overwintering larvae, insects, mice, voles, that sort of thing. So a really good habitat in their own right. Well, look at that, guys. I am officially 360 degrees, try not to make you all feel dizzy, surrounded by silver birch. and I couldn't be happier. This wood is phenomenal. I've never seen this many silver birch. Of course, you do get quite big stands of silver birch and Scots pine in Scotland and in parts of Wales, but yeah, this is just an absolute ancient relic population. Oh, hang on, just spotted a couple of rare hawthorn, which I never thought I'd say in a woodland, but yeah, that's a lovely hawthorn tree. Hawthorn's actually a really good tree if let to their own devices and just left to grow as a standalone tree. Of course, so many times we see them as just a hedgerow plant, but hawthorn, top tip for you, get one in your garden as a tree. Why not? They look like that. How fantastic is that? So yes, 360 degrees of silver birch. Absolutely blown away. I just can't even see out to any of the surrounding countryside. It's just birch. Look at that for a view. Just bucolic, isn't it? And I've just spotted my next habitat, so let's go and have a look at that. Now, it might not look like much, and it might just look like every other silver birch tree in here, but this one in particular behind me is wonderful for two reasons. Well, possibly a few more than that. If you see the fungus on it, is an indicator that the tree is actually dead. Most fungi actually live off dead or decaying wood. And of course, you can see this is well and truly a dead silver birch. Now, why is that important, I hear you ask? Well, it is absolutely vital as a nesting potential once it starts to decay and rot through the core, which this one will no doubt have. Can't see any on immediate inspection. It's a great habitat for woodpeckers. The great spotted woodpecker and the green woodpecker, and potentially lesser spotted, which is obviously very rare nowadays in the UK. I've only seen one a couple of times in my life. I know there are a few woodlands not a million miles from here where there are one or two, but I don't know if there's any population in this woodland. However, green woodpecker, great spotted woodpecker, fantastic population in this wood because the rotting material is of course very easy for them to excavate out and make their own nest holes, where of course they will nest in the wild in just identical to trees like this if there aren't any in there already. So a wonderful habitat again. Next up, standing deadwood. Now, I know we've just looked at an entire tree trunk that's died, which is obviously great for woodpeckers, as we've just looked at. However, standing deadwood is one of the rarest habitats in the UK nowadays, and it's great for so many things. Now, I've looked into the fungus that I've earlier suggested was birch polypore. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, sorry for all of you guys out there that know this, I think this is horse's hoof fungus with a quick internet search. I believe it is, and you can tell why. But standing deadwood is really good for so many beetles, of course, which things like lesser stag beetle, I'm not 100% sure whether they use silver birch, but so many beetles and insects obviously lay their eggs and larvae inside rotting wood above ground, which then obviously migrate underground into the rotting bases of these trees, of course, to stay a consistent temperature underground through the winter, where they'll spend a year or two, depending on the insect, as the larvae before they emerge. And obviously check out the stag beetle video on the YouTube channel if you haven't already, where I found a lot of stag beetles, and what an experience that was a couple of years back in Essex. So check that out if you haven't seen already. But yes, standing deadwood, an absolutely vital habitat, and I'm going to do a video at some point. One or two of you have been asking about putting some log piles in the ground upright, so I'll do a specific video on that in due course. So keep tuned to the channel for that one. Let's go see what else we can find. So with all this timber blowing down obviously and across pathways, there needs to be some management, and obviously a byproduct of that management are logs. Now, log stacks are an invaluable habitat. I strongly recommend you all put one in your garden, even if it's just one, but put as many as you can. Litter your garden with wood. Don't worry about how it looks or what the neighbours think. Just get some log stacks in your garden. They are great for so many things. Wood mice, newts, frogs, toads for overwintering. Absolutely incredible. Even birds such as wrens and dunnocks and things like that will nest in log stacks as well for overwintering. Butterflies, things like the peacock butterfly, will nest in log stacks as well as small tortoiseshell, which overwinter as the adult form of those insects. So log stacks are a really vital resource. Get some in your garden, and what an amazing habitat these are. Some great ones here. Another stack over the top there, and there's some more that I've just walked past on the way in. So log stacks, can't recommend them enough. So I thought I'd just stop to show you next what I've discovered, and that is a few of these relic Scots pines, which are absolutely gorgeous trees. I just love Scots pines. I've been working a lot in Norfolk recently, and they love the sandy ground over there, so there's loads over there, but really nice to see a few here. And actually I found a couple more species. Again, you wouldn't think they'd be rare in a normal woodland, but there's a lone holly, which is the only one I've seen over a couple of miles, and a wonderful oak tree. Of course, there are a few of these in the wood, not many, but those are the main species that make up this woodland. You know, the silver birch and the alder, and then you've got one or two holly, oak, and the Scots pines, like this lovely stand behind me. There's a really nice coniferous tree as well, which is a very tall spruce, as you can see. Wonderful structure on that. But yes, I really hope that that's given you an insight. I mean, for me, being surrounded by one of my favourite garden trees, the silver birch, it's just been a phenomenal experience. And I'll put a few clips in now of the scenery, if you like, before. It's gone a bit overcast now, but when it was sunny earlier, just some stunning imagery I got of these wonderful trees. And I really hope that it's inspired you to get a silver birch in your garden. They are incredible for wildlife, and they are found obviously widespread throughout the northern hemisphere. What an amazing tree, and what an incredible place. I really hope you've enjoyed discovering some of the habitats today, and hopefully you now have a better understanding of just why this is an incredible nature reserve, and one that obviously, if you are in the area, do make time to visit it. It is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you very much for watching, guys. As I say, I'll put a few clips in now, so don't leave just yet, of some of the scenery that I've found, and really appreciate the support. Thank you so much to you all. Keep watching, stay wild, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.